Once you've landed a voiceover job, you've gone ahead and you've done the work, how do you deliver the files to your client? This is the question that we're going to talk about today on the podcast. Welcome back, Jason here. This is episode number 17 of the Voice Acting 101 podcast. Hopefully by now you know what it's about, but just in case you don't, this is where I try to answer a voiceover question in the least amount of time as possible so you can learn something quickly and then get back to work. And today's question comes from Bill. Bill says, I had a question about delivering files to a client for projects such as e-learning or audiobooks. I currently utilize Reaper and I use regions to split the files. I do see the files split when I view it. How would you send these files to clients? Do you typically drag and drop the files to their email or transfer them using Dropbox? Are your clients okay with numerous files sent to them as MP3s in their email? So thanks for the question, Bill. I've used Reaper a few times. I'm not totally up to speed on saving out multiple files with it. It sounds like you're on the right path with using regions. And same thing with Audacity. I'm sure that there's a way to save out individual files. I do it with Adobe Audition, and you basically use silence during editing to separate the parts, and then run diagnostics, which scans the file, and it's going to mark the voiceover parts, and then you can easily export the markers from there, and that's going to save out the individual files. So that saves a ton of time if you do it that way on large projects like e-learning, which could have hundreds or even thousands of files. It's not as valuable on audiobooks just because there aren't that many files. There might be like 12 files or 20 files. But in an e-learning project, you could really have hundreds or even thousands of files. So once you have the files saved out, you'd want to zip the files and then send them using Dropbox or some other kind of file sharing service. And you could also use something like WeSendIt.com. That's kind of like a website where you upload the file and they send the email with the link to your client. I'll leave a link to the resources guide, which has some of the options for file sharing services. And touching on your other question, I would not attach the files to an email for many reasons. Most email providers have like file size limits, which may not be a problem if it's like an MP3 file, just a couple megabytes. But if it's a WAV file or an AIF file, it's going to be too large to send through email. And that email, you may get an error or it may send and it's going to bounce back. It's just not going to go through if the attachment is above the file size limit. So you could split your files up and send with multiple emails. I've seen some people do that, but it starts to get complicated. And really, email is great for communication, but it's not made for file sharing. And then another reason that I don't send files via email would be that some companies block attachments in emails. So you could end up sending it. They never get it. You don't even get the bounce back. And they think that you just didn't do the work. They never received the work and they're going to be, it just causes problems. You think they get the work and they never got the work. So I prefer to use Dropbox and just send an email once I have the link. And the email just says your voiceover is available to download from this link. And I do it that way for everything. So large or small files, I'm going to zip them up. I'm going to upload them to Dropbox and then send a link to the client where they can download the zip file. And it just helps make the project delivery process easier and seamless. So I hope that helps you. I use Dropbox for client-side stuff, and I use Gmail for internal stuff, like when I'm sending files to an editor and they are returning the files to me. So check out the resources section for the link to the resources guide to find out more about some file sharing options that are out there. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode for this week. I think this might be the shortest podcast I've done so far. If you have a question in mind for an upcoming episode on the podcast, all you have to do is just reply to my email. Let me know your question. Or even better, I'd love to hear your voice. You can record your question and click the upload your voiceover question button that you see on this page to send it to me. I'll get it, and then I will feature it in an upcoming podcast episode. And if you've already sent one in, thanks for sending it in. I'm going to release it as soon as I can. And before I go, I want to give you a quick update on the podcast. It's shaping up to be a pretty busy week this week and next week. So I'm going to try and get another podcast episode out next week. But if not, I will see you back here in 2 weeks. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Have a great week. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. If you want to see another video, there's one waiting for you right here, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel down in the corner. Or if you want to learn the 5 steps to becoming a voice actor, check out this free guide. It's available to download from voiceacting101.com/get started. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you next time. See ya.